year, and within those nurses, there's going to be pediatric nurses helping out. What we've heard from the Chief Medical Officer is kind of leveling off here in Toronto. I know we had a spike out in Chio, out in Ottawa. I had a conversation through text messaging back. I know we had a spike out in Chio, out in Ottawa. I had a conversation through text messaging back and forth with Alex Munter. And as I said before, he thinks outside the box. We're adding more beds. We've added over 3,000. We're adding another 3,500 beds on top of that. We're putting $40 billion into 50 projects across Ontario. And we're throwing everything we can at the healthcare system. You know, just in the last, since I think it was 2019 or 2017, there's 100,000 more healthcare folks that have been hired. As you heard the mayor, we're building a medical school right here in Brampton, graduating more doctors, and out in Scarborough as well. So there's a tremendous amount of things that we're doing. I know Chio's having a few bumps in the road, but they're going to be okay.
So help me understand something here. You just said that your government is throwing everything at the problem. If you're throwing everything at the problem, why would CHIO need to call in the Red Cross? I mean, this is not an Ontario government organization. They're not part of Ontario Health. This is an extra set of hands that they need to come in to help in with a crisis. So how is your government throwing everything at the problem when you have CHIO clearly in need of extra support that your government is not providing?
Well, thanks for the statement there. Thanks, Colin.
That was not a statement. Sorry, that was a question for you.
Okay,
that was a question.
Thank you, Colin. So again, we've had a great relationship with CHIO, and as Alex Munter reminded me, when Ottawa and other regions were in crisis, he went in there and he supported other hospitals, similar to what's happening in Ottawa, no matter if it's Queensway or Ottawa General. One region, they stick together. Cam the CEO over at Ottawa does a phenomenal job as well. So it's one region. And by the way, they're the only pediatric hospital in that region. So sometimes they may see a spike. But thanks for the question.
Hi, Premier. It's Cynthia Mulligan from City News.
Hi, Cynthia.
Moments before you started speaking, Premier, the Bank of Canada raised interest rates yet again, this time by 50 basis points. I'm curious, you've talked about affordability and your concerns for people when it comes to affordability. What do you think about yet another interest rate hike? Is it too much?
Yeah, I know. Thank you for that question, Cynthia. I just don't like raising interest rates, and I understand their philosophy. They want to cool down inflation, but what we're hearing that hopefully in April, May, and June we're going to see the inflation level off. By just increasing interest rates constantly, I just personally I don't believe in it. But that's up to the Bank of Canada to do what they have to do. I believe in keeping interest rates low, keeping taxes low, putting more money into people's pockets. They'll go out and they'll go and spend that. They'll invest it. They'll put an addition on their home. They may, as simple as going out for dinner. That's what stirs the economy, not making it more difficult. Our energy costs as well. Probably 35% of inflation is due to energy costs. Getting goods from the manufacturing facilities into the stores, and that costs money. Gas prices going up, that costs money. We've cut 10 cents per liter off gas. I'm asking the federal government, even temporarily, cut the carbon tax, cut 11 cents. That would be massive if they could cut 11 cents per liter. We just need to put more money into people's pocket and help them out through tough times.
Thank you. My next question, Premier, is about Bill 39. It is set to pass tomorrow. There's been a lot of pushback on it. Ottawa Council, including the mayor, has overwhelmingly rejected it. 15 Toronto City Councillors have written a letter to you and Minister Steve Clark asking you not to go forward with it. Yeah. These are the two city councils that are starting with it, and the majority are rejecting it. Why are you still pushing forward with it under accusations that this is trampling on democracy?
Well, that's not trampling on democracy. What's trampling on democracy is, let's use Mayor Tory, for example. Mayor Tory got more votes than all the councillors combined. And so having a councillor that scrapes in with 3,000 votes and has the same voting power as the mayor, that's what's trampling on democracy. They all want to hold on to their power. I get it. I've been down there. But at the end of the day, it's the mayor that's standing in front of the microphone like I do, answering all the tough questions, being held accountable. He's responsible for running the city. And for him to have one vote, that's just not acceptable. So that's up to the mayor. It's going to be up to the council. And hopefully they'll work things out.
Hi, Premier. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Hi, Siobhan.
Still on Bill 39, we have heard from a number of planners at the city level, not just politicians, that really question this idea that the bill is about expediting construction of housing. So what is it really about? Because there's a lot of doubt around that.
Well, it's about expediting, making a decision. Rather than taking, and this happens, well, if you want to talk Toronto, it can take 4 or 5 years to get a building permit. That's unacceptable. The mayor has to have the authority to direct staff and hire senior levels of staff. That wasn't in there before. So now, as he's held accountable for everything that goes on in the city, he has to have the authority to make moves. It's like running a large corporation and the CEO, he can't make any decisions. So he's going to be able to make decisions, move things forward, and I have confidence that he's going to do exactly that.
And you've raised these concerns about affordability in the current climate. So how do you justify then not doing more for people who are on ODSP beyond the 5% increase you've already done?
Well, if you look at other governments, they didn't do anything. At least we're putting 5% on the table as an increase. We're creating a climate for people that can work to go out there and work. And I've always said, if you physically or mentally cannot work, we'll take care of you. But if you can work, if you're on Ontario Works and you're healthy mind, healthy body, there's endless employment opportunities. You could walk down every street in this province and find a job in every single sector. We need 380,000 people to fill the existing jobs that we have right now. So I encourage anyone sitting at home, and you're able to work, you have to get out there and find gainful employment.
Hi, Mirna Djukic for Radio Canada. The question is actually for Minister Mulroney. Bonjour, on vient de recevoir le rapport annuel de la commissaire Burke. Elle décrit le cas d'une aînée francophone mourante qui, dans un hôpital désigné bilingue du nord de l'Ontario, s'est fait demander de parler anglais. Est-ce que c'est normal en 2022 qu'on entende encore parler de ce genre d'histoire?
J'étais très triste d'apprendre le cas de cette femme qui était dans l'hôpital dans ces derniers jours et ce n'est pas acceptable. Et c'est pour ça que notre gouvernement a travaillé si fort à moderniser la loi pour les services en français. On a créé le règlement sur l'offre active pour assurer des services de qualité pour les francophones à travers la province.
I'll ask my follow-up in English. It's about the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. Is there a credible plan to complete the Eglinton Crosstown LRT? And if so, when will it open?
Look, I know people are frustrated by the delays that have been plaguing the Eglinton Crosstown project for so long. Our government is focused on making sure that it is safely operational as soon as possible.
This will be the last question.
Good morning, Premier. This
Hi.
is Prabhu from Parvasi.
Hi.
So what is the government policy for EV, and do you think by 2030 Ontario will have enough infrastructure to support a complete switch to electric vehicles?
Yeah, that's a great question. We made that fantastic announcement over at General Motors with the federal government. And that's going to be way of the future. We're putting millions and millions of dollars into charging stations right across this province, no matter if it's in hockey arenas or en routes. And as the market dictates, the charging stations will dictate as well. But it was a great announcement yesterday with General Motors investing over $2 billion into the plant there over at the CAMI plant. We just look forward to continue growing the auto sector. And in the last 2 years, we've seen $16 billion of investment and over 100,000 jobs created that are long-term jobs, good-paying jobs. And then there's the spin-off jobs that come from that, 8 to 1 in the auto sector. So we're going to continue building. We're going to continue building roads and highways and transit to get people around from point A to point B.
Thank you.
Another question? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Yeah?
Thanks so much for
Okay, well, I just want to add, about the situation we're looking at building homes. Folks, I have to tell you, there's 300,000 people coming here every single year. And I know we have a few mayors that, don't want to play in the sandbox, and one being Mayor Crombie, and I don't know what her issue is. But I'll just give you an example. We have an ambitious target. I'm going to use Mississauga because I used Toronto before, of Mississauga building 120,000 homes over the next 10 years. That's about 12,000 homes every year, and that's far from the city's current annual average of 2,100. And you can't, the definition of insanity is continue doing the exact same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And that's not going to work. I see that Mayor Crombie's out there handing out flyers and doing this. All I say is get on board, stop being disingenuous, with the people of Mississauga. It's just absolutely wrong. Mississauga has increased their fees on new home buyers by nearly 30% in the last 2 years alone. In fact, Mississauga adds, every single home that's built adds $126,000 to the price of that home. And that's tough on newcomers that are coming here and families that have kids that are growing up. They want to buy a home, or if your grandchildren want to buy a home. It's very simple. It's like economics 101, supply and demand. And when you have 300,000 people coming to our province, and we just sit back and a couple municipalities, Mississauga being one, saying, oh, we can't do that. We can't do this. Mississauga brings in more than $34 million each year in municipal taxes on home buyers. Each year they're spending about $25 million, or less than 75% of those funds. And for parkland fees, Mississauga brings in more than $17 million annually, and they only spend $9 million, or 53% each year. And they're holding $271 million of those funds collected in reserves. So I'd also like to point out that the city waives, this is the ironic thing, folks. We have Mayor Crombie complaining about our fees, but the city waives similar fees to encourage building office space downtown, and I'm all for that. But you can't say one thing one day and say you're against it, and then you go the next day and do exactly what we're asking you to do. I'm asking for a partnership with Mayor Crombie, Mayor Tory, all the other mayors. If we sit back and think some magical thing's going to happen, or you think when people come here we're going to start living in mud huts, it's not going to happen under our government. We want to work collaboratively, cooperatively with you, but we need to get on board and start moving forward and stop the whining and complaining that I hear day in and day out. Anyways, folks, all the very best. We're going to continue building transit. We're going to continue building homes. Thank you. God bless.